So if anyone has any questions, this is the last Hanuman character satsang for 1996. So.
Hanuman, it's Harvey.
Oh, Harvey. Hi, Harvey.
Hi. Thank you for satsang.
Welcome.
At the end of satsang yesterday, you were speaking of Papaji as the fire that purifies. And the question has stayed with me through the day and the night. Is the purification always accompanied by pain?
No, I would say that pain is always accompanied by grace. We speak of purification also, but the truth is that that which you are is already pristine. What this purification is in some way is the removal of obscuration, so one can see simply and clearly and directly the clear light and purity of one's true, shining, radiant nature that has always remained untouched, untainted, unblemished. So the purification is a matter of speaking. I want to emphasize more than anything that you are already that, and that there is nothing needed, no purification, no practice to be that which you already are. The task, however, seems to be the removal of these veils of ignorance, these veils of Maya, veils of illusion that seem to cover up. So in behalf of removing these veils, it's important to be vigilant. It's important to discern what is permanent from what is impermanent, and to cease the continual chasing after the impermanent. Inquiry is also profoundly important in behalf of pulling apart this so-called veil of samsara. And in behalf of this fueling, this fire for freedom, what it is that burns, you see, in this fire is the personal. And what's left is the shining, radiant, impersonal self that you are, that I am. Same. The self of your own self. And this always is. And this is what's revealed again and again and again. Every and any time one is willing to stop and look to see what is true. Again and again and again, one sees for one's own self now the confirmer that that which you are is pure consciousness. And not what appears in you, not what comes, not what goes, but the very ever-present consciousness, the very ever-present beingness, the very ever-present silence. This is your Buddha nature. Crystal pure, crystal clear.
What is burned is the dross.
The dross. So it's this heart's cry, take this from me, take that from me. And all that's this and all that's that is of the personal. All this needless suffering is of the personal. This sense of separate individuality that cries out for embrace of the unity, the totality, the whole. And this is recognized not in this mind, which is where separation is found and individuality is found, but it's found in the silence that is prior to mind itself. So always in satsang, I'm pointing back to the silence. And it's what the Master says more than anything else. Again and again and again, just simply be quiet. Be quiet. There's nothing else that he emphasizes nearly as much as the import of just being quiet. Being quiet meaning simply, naturally, effortlessly, resting in that which is already silence itself. You see, it's not some silence that's attained through some great effort and practice. It's simply revealed as the very source, the very substratum. So you allow this that seems to be in the background, the so-called source, and you let it come forward. And then rest. It's not so much to ask. Okay, Harvey.
Hanuman, this is a vihar
I'm not saying.
towards the exit.
Aha.
But then there is to deal with this incredible impatience that always throws me in the future instead of being right here. When the silence is there, those moments are so wonderful, and then I seem to become conscious of this unconscious beauty, and then it disappears, and I try to recreate it, and it's then of course I'm in my own way, it seems. And then there is this longing and impatience to have it always there, and that's such a hard thing to do. Maybe I'm trying too hard.
Well, I think there may be a difference between that which you're speaking of as impatience and that I'm speaking of when I'm saying fueling this fire for freedom. It's a kind of heart's yearning,
Yeah.
you see.
And it's so strong sometimes, it's...
But I'm not speaking about the impatience of being over-caffeinated, for example.
No.
No. But this yearning never is obstructive, you see. The yearning itself is the fire. This yearning for freedom first and foremost. So I'm guessing that the impatience that you're speaking of is the impatience for this moment somehow to show up differently than it is. And be quick about it.
Yeah, definitely be quick about
But
it.
this is suffering itself, you see. This demand that this moment somehow should be different. This idea that I should be feeling something different than I'm feeling. I should be thinking something different. My circumstance should be different. This body should be different. My relations should be different. My income should be different. My behaviors should be different. It is this very lack of acceptance of what is that is itself the stuff of suffering. So, better to allow this tendency of impatience to constantly remind you of what is already at peace and perfectly acceptable as is, unconditionally. Better to see the obstructive nature of the imposition of the personal will and the great freedom and liberation to the very immediate surrender to thy will. Surrendering to thy will is this absolute, relaxed, easy, total acceptance of what is. And for this, I suggest the continual return to this throne of witness consciousness. And sitting on this throne of witness consciousness at ease, you are simply seeing what is passing before you and allowing it to be completely as it is. Seeing that you remain perfectly untouched and unmoving, perfectly still, perfectly unchanging, at ease, at peace, fearless and free as this show called life passes before your eyes, flowing by.
Maybe it's my Germanness that I feel kind of guilty when I feel I can just trust whatever next decision I have to make will be shown to me. And it feels so good when I do that and just leave it up to when the moment is right, I will know what to do. And it comes very easy. And then later I go back in my mind and I feel kind of guilty because I can't explain it to people around me that it isn't inactivity, that it is just surrendering.
The big clue is when I go back into my mind, when I go back into my ideas, my memories, my preconceptions. So if that land that you have now recognized to not be supportive of your intention for ease and freedom and peace, the task is, when you find yourself in the midst of this so-called mind, to take 2 steps back on this throne and see that the mind, which is only thoughts, are over here, passing. You've stepped out of this mind and you've come back now into the point of view of the detached witness. What's being detached from is the personal point of view.
Yeah, it seems like
The detachment is stepping out of it so one's not seemingly lost in it, powerless at the effect of. So keep stepping out of this mind. Keep letting go of the personal will. Keep allowing this display of impatience to remind you of peace. You have all you need already now. So use what you have on behalf of freedom. And don't, again I say this, don't get so lost in ideas of being German. And what all that means to you, you see. You're not German. The personal one, you say, the one that seems to have been born. And all the conditioning of that one. You call that German. And I'm telling you, you can see doubtlessly for your own self that one doesn't exist except in that very mind that causes so much trouble. We'll see this again and again. So when you say, I am German, you're speaking of the conditioning, really.
yes.
So I'm saying use the conditioning, use the habits, use the tendencies that you say are German in behalf of freedom. Use everything in behalf of freedom. Let nothing need be separated out and rejected. Everything is as it should be, as it must be. The pain, the suffering, the impatience, the anxiety can't be any other way. This moment cannot be any other way than it is.
Yeah, sometimes I realize that this freedom isn't anything big abstract out there in the future, that it is right here if I really just...
It's only right here.
Yeah.
It's only always right here. Never found in the future. So dissatisfied with this so-called present moment, there is always this looking to the next in hopes of somehow the next moment will bring this satisfaction that seems to be missed in this moment. The satisfaction of this moment is found in the complete and total acceptance of this moment just as it is. That next moment never comes. So if you're seeing clearly that freedom is only found here and now, you step out of the mind, which is past and future, and come back to this moment again and again. You make this your practice, so to speak. And every time you come back to this moment, every time you come back to this silence, to this so-called emptiness, to the recognition, I am pure consciousness, you realize that you've never ever been other than pure consciousness, regardless of what was displayed, of what appeared. You see again and again that rope is a rope and was never a snake that it appears to be from time to time. So, I've said this to you before, even. Stop indulging the snake. Once you've seen doubtlessly that it's only a rope. Or in other words, once you see the apparent nature of the individual, the apparent nature of the sufferer, stop indulging for one more moment any needless suffering. Just stop and let it go. So that's the task at hand.
I think I just had the sudden urge to sort of hear from you, yeah, you're on the right track. Just keep on going. Something like that.
Yeah, Kamala asked me this once, you're on the right track. And I said, of course you're on the right track. This individual is finding herself in satsang. Very rare blessing, I tell you, in this world of spiritual teachings, how rare it is to come face to face with a teaching that's speaking only of freedom here and now.
Yes.
It really is a rare thing.
Yeah, sometimes I ask somebody.
So that one most definitely is on the right track. But I tell you, in truth, there is no track. There is no beginning and end that's connected by this track. There is no path in this teaching to walk upon. You are already always at home. You are already always at the station.
Just needs a good spring cleaning.
It needs nothing at all.
It feels so wonderful. I feel like really laughing out loud of joy.
Good. I see that radiant smile is beautiful. So, thank you.
My name is Bava.
Baba.
Could you tell me about marriage?
Marriage.
Marriage. I'm recently married.
So you're now an expert.
Recently.
I am always alone, so I don't know what to say to an expert on marriage. So, no, you tell me.
It's different from being single.
Robert's laughing. He's saying it's really true. It's really true. So, Baba, what's behind the question?
There's always this part that wants to escape. It's
So it's a variation of the question is how can I stop suffering?
yes,
Yeah.
and I'm not German.
Isn't it so odd in this human condition that single people are longing to be married, and married people are longing to be single. And then single, they're longing to be married again. Always looking for another condition that will possibly fulfill the hope for some peace and happiness and joy. And again, as we somehow satisfy one desire after another and have a momentary sense of satisfaction until again the anxiety of the need to fulfill the next demand of the next desire asserts itself, we seem to learn quite miraculously that that which we are seeking for is not found in conditions, circumstances, fulfillment of desire. It's not found out here. This is life's lesson again and again and again and again. So now this Bhava character finds himself in a condition called marriage, in relationship to this apparent other. You have to be very serious. I say this to everyone. What is it that you want, and what is it that your partner wants? Is it peace? Is it struggle? If it's peace, now there are seemingly two people in behalf of this endeavor of the realization of peace. So then hopefully it's a partnership in fulfillment of the goal of peace and happiness and joy. But this you rarely see in so-called marriages. So be very serious. You find yourself married, so to speak. So don't make it a marriage of struggle. Make it a partnership towards peace and love. And if there's anything obstructing the intention for peace and love, together, remove it. Remove what obstructs the ever-present peace and love. And be very serious in your intention to remove it. Don't engage in useless battles where there are no winners at all, only sadness and despair and a desire to escape. So, I tell people who are in difficult relationships, get all the help you can. There are people in this world who are skilled in behalf of assisting. Also, speaking to you very practically, make some time to be alone. There's so much in coupleness, so much emphasis on trying to create some profound sense of intimacy, which is, of course, profoundly important, but it's also profoundly important to have a profound sense of spaciousness, so you can be resting in the aloneness that is the true condition. It really helps to finally recognize that your partner, none other than your own true self, is holy and divine. And it helps to remind one another of their inherent divinity and sacred nature. So marriage need not be an obstruction to anything. Remaining single, so to speak, need not be an obstruction to anything. All sense of obscuration, of obstruction, is there to be removed if it's freedom that is one's heart's desire. So the challenge in a marriage situation or in any other situation where freedom is first and foremost one's heart's desire is to let go. Just keep letting go. Keep letting go. Let any condition, any circumstance be the theater, the classroom in which the lesson, let go, let go, let go, is profoundly heard. and then let go. Finally, there will come a time when this body is going to experience its last breaths. There'll be a very urgent demand to let go, and no joke, very deadly serious demand. And we have this incredible opportunity to be very ready, to take a last breath like a warrior. So now be warrior-like in your ruthless and uncompromising commitment for this life to be in behalf of freedom, and that this marriage be in behalf of freedom. Good luck.
Thank you.
You know, one thing you see, that if we drop the vigilance, so to speak, it becomes so real that we are somebody in relationship to somebody else. If this is left unexamined, this illusory self now appearing so very real, and this illusory other now appearing so very real, is the stuff of a lifetime spent in illusion and appearance. It's really fundamentally and essentially important to really know doubtlessly that which you are in truth is not some separate individual in relationship to another, but that which you are in truth is pure consciousness. And that which you are and that apparent other is in truth is pure consciousness as well. Same. So, first things first. See this doubtlessly for your own self. It's not to be believed, but doubtlessly recognized as the absolute truth. And then from the point of view of this recognition, then you allow the play of individuality and the play of relationship to be one of great joy. Happiness, love, a love fest with your beloved. How fantastic. Then it's a great marriage. Have a very great marriage. Definitely. Don't settle for anything less. And if you find that it's not a great marriage, make it great. Make it a marriage where every day you can get on your knees and just thank you for bringing someone, my own self, into my life as this beautiful other called my beloved. Thank you. So deal with the obstructions to that intelligently, wisely, skillfully, seriously, sincerely, heartfully. Don't settle for less.
Hi, I'm Jill, and and I have a question about being a householder.
Wait, we had that question yesterday. Okay, what's your question? No, you're doing fine, I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay, I am a householder.
No.
No, I'm
Wrong.
not. This apparent one who...
No, see what will happen. One will ask about marriage, one will ask household, and one will ask, it's all the same answer you're going to get. You're always only going to get the same answer. Everybody, ultimately. Really. I will not compromise for a moment, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say you're a householder. You could say apparently. I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's infinite problems in all conditions and circumstances. I'm saying use whatever condition and circumstance that displays before you in behalf of freedom.
Yes. Use it as a pointer to who I truly am.
That's right. And the call to come to rest once again. See, we're so familiar with this outer territory and so relatively unfamiliar with this place of deep rest in one's true heart self. So let all that appears point back. Let all these problems point back, and just simply rest. Become familiar with this rest. Become familiar with the reality, the truth of the fact that you are pure consciousness itself.
I seem to recognize two worlds. I seem to make commitments on behalf of my body, this Jill one, to do things which are truly laughable in the context of being my true self. That I will commit my energies to perform tasks and rest in witness consciousness simultaneously. Sometimes when I write down a list of tasks, I want to laugh. I want to just explode with laughter and say, we got to be kidding here. Who are we really? And
That's
yet...
great. Yes, but...
And
yes.
yet, well, I mean, it's hysterically funny.
It's hysterically funny.
The circumstance of the apparency.
Yeah.
The participation in the illusion. Okay. I don't know if I have completely got what process I need to do to take my list and do my list of commitments and be in witness consciousness at the same time.
You are this witnessing. Witnessing is your very nature.
Yes.
It's not something that you do. It's you are that. Well, who would be doing it, Joe? Who's doing anything at all?
The clouds are doing what they do.
Clouds are doing what they do. And the sky is absolutely unconcerned.
Right. And when I am that, because I am that sky, and I get to observe, it's my, then it is my concept
Yes,
of
this
a
concept of
participant.
this individual who's really the sky now doing this observation. It's all on the level of intellect.
Okay.
It's an indication of a certain understanding. I'm saying that although in daily life there's an appearance of doer, of this personal doer that we're all so familiar with, that whenever we investigate, inquire, we can see for one's own self, doubtlessly, that that one is only an appearance. That in fact, we are the very consciousness in which that personal appearance is displaying in. You don't need to do anything about anything. It's all happening of itself, always. And always has been. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, therefore, I should. Or I shouldn't. I'm just speaking of the way it is.
When I did not, this is a good lesson for me, because when I get away from this discussion, I tend to fool myself.
No, you're not fooling yourself.
Well,
You're not doing anything at all.
I tend to suffer.
It's just this display of happening in that moment. There's no fooling oneself, really. I understand that from a relative point of view, for sure I do. But really and truly, there's no fooling oneself. That self doesn't exist. That seems to get fooled. This is what you can see for your own self again and again. It's quite amazing. So your speaking is revelatory of this sense of doership. I would ask you to see simply here and now if there is this, in truth, personal, individual doer. It's the same way I ask people to look and see if there's a thinker. It's a funny thing that once we see there's no doer, we speak about the doer as if there really is, in the same way that once the mirage is seen not to contain any water, we seem to talk about the mirage as it really is a place to imbibe. It's a kind of cocktail conversation. It's make-believe. It's not real. It's only appearance.
So again,
I'm saying it's of the dream, and you can wake up from this dream, meaning you can see it's a dream at any moment you care to. Just investigate, inquire, look, see what's true. It's so simple, so immediate. And in this seeing, in this clear and doubtless seeing, just let go of what's not real any longer. In very practical terms, if one is back in this obsessing one's personal unworthiness, right, that listening to the story of the unworthy one, me, and you stop for a moment and say, wait a minute, I've already glimpsed doubtlessly that that one is only found in this story, and I don't need to be even indulging in this anxiety and despair one more moment. I can just let this go in total, here and now.
that was the step I needed to hear. That was that permission.
Well, you have it. I cannot overemphasize the extent to which you always have that permission. Certainly not from me. You have it from your own self. Just give it to you. We certainly are well experienced in giving ourselves permission to indulge the habits of brutality and mercilessness, meaning listening to that story of the personal unworthy one and feeling all those feelings that accompany it, and doing that again and 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 again. Enough is enough. So it's even more than permission. More like the swift, I can't even say it, but okay. Boom. It's almost this disbelief. I can really let this go. Not just a little bit. I can completely let go of believing in the reality of this apparent one. Enjoy the personal. Don't suffer it. Enjoy consciousness's expression as individuality. And enjoy that play of the individual, the personal one, the appearance. My master says from time to time, it's your own dream. The dream continues. Enjoy it. Make of it what you will. It's your own dream. Now you see it's only a dream. Why this frown on this face?
I'm just concentrating. I'm hearing you.
Okay. Okay.
You gave me a while ago a giant sword. The sword of now. So that I could accomplish my step, my decision, my ownership of my true self immediately. I thank you.
Okay, good, Joe. Oh, wait 1 second. So I didn't give you anything at all. Truly, everything you have is your own birthright. And we've all been given so much. So the task is to use that which we've been given. It's not to keep the menu in the back pocket and be so contented with the potentiality, the possibility. But there's been, as I said last night, there's so much information. Or yesterday morning, so much information in every way about living a life. Caring for these bodies, caring for relationships, caring for this planet. So much information and to recognize one's true self. There have been swords, sharp ones, laid at all of our feet. This sword of inquiry, this sword of vigilance. The sword of discernment. So yes, you must pick up the swords. Not a question of only going to satsang. Satsang is a fantastic sword in behalf of freedom. But the swords are now already with you. So in daily life, when necessary, the swords actually of themselves will be lifted in front of you. You won't have to do anything at all. The desire to be quiet will display before you. The very remembrance of discernment will come before you. The very welling up, longing and yearning for freedom will display before you. You don't have to do anything at all. Just allow what comes to you to come to you with a sense of gratitude, appreciation for these great gifts, this great grace. Let the habit of needing to do this or that remind you that there's nothing to do. You are already always that. That, I'm speaking of one's Buddha nature. Already ever at peace. Already crystal clarity. Already easy. Just step in and lean back and come to rest in that, your own self. And when you venture forth into this manifestation, do so fearlessly and lovingly, confidently. You have every reason. And come forth wisely, compassionately. And then when you're called home to come to rest, come back to rest again. So simple. Okay. Cyril, you're here. I saw you come in. So.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Alberta, and I saw you over a year ago here, and I had asked about my purpose, and everybody laughed because a woman about a month before that had asked the same thing, and you said, you probably won't be back. So then I went and visited a friend in Colorado. Basically, this is just a report, and I was there for all of last month and saw Gangaji. And then I called the people here in Seattle, and they says, oh, Hanuman's here. So I brought my sister. And I'm so excited. It's like the being vigilant is even like happening in my dreams, the 24 hours a day that Papaji talks about. And it's like, I woke up this morning going, wow, my dreams, we gotta go to this. So I'm just so excited. And thanks,
Good
everybody.
For you. Great. Very great. What's your sister's name?
Ruth.
Ruth? Hi. Okay, well, welcome back.
Thank you.
She's being vigilant even in her dreams. I'm still trying to get a good night's sleep. So, very lucky. Okay. They have to pass that over.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm continually told by some of my closest friends to talk more from my heart and less from my intellect. Yet who I really am is the observer of these things. And I don't understand what they mean.
What do I mean by that? your very nature is witnessing it. You are witnessing that you are consciousness.
I guess what I don't understand is I have this common criticism that comes my way of talking more from my intellect and my head.
But
and
do you
not
ask,
from
do you
my
ask your
heart.
friends what they mean when
Yes,
they say
and
this?
none of them can really explain it. It's a feeling or a kinesthetic thing, or I have no idea. Because who I am is the observer of these things that is already connected to them. And
Well, usually human beings, when they make that kind of comment to their friends, they're asking for more expression of feeling, of heartfulness, of warmth, affection, more of a sense of vulnerability. That's usually what people mean by. But I don't speak about that here. That's what I'm joking. That's generally what's meant by that, rather than intellectualizing.
so how do you do that?
Well, check in with your own feelings. Be willing to express in a vulnerable way. Share things that you may not ordinarily share. Be more expressive of warmth and love and gentleness and affection. Expressing your heart, your soulfulness. Like that. It's a kind of, on the level of personality. On the level of personal expression, because we are in fact the master, so to speak, we can make of that expression what we will. It's quite fantastic, that freedom. You can share what you will, express as you wish. I'm just saying, it's not who you are in truth. It's who you are from a personal point of view. It describes the individual. Psychology. This kind of has to do with the personal individual. So almost so much of all of the world's information is in behalf of the individual. And in our culture, and this generation especially, there's so much information about how to care for the individual self. What I'm saying over and over again in satsang is that individual that we so much take ourselves to be is in fact, upon investigation, upon inquiry, revealed to not even exist. It's quite miraculous. Exists as an appearance, a sense of, but not in reality. In reality, what's revealed is that which we truly are is pure consciousness. So, it's a kind of paradox. While the doer doesn't in truth exist, there is a sense of doership from time to time. You're free then to do as you wish. There is a sense that there's a chooser. In truth, there isn't. But there's a sense of, so then one can choose as one wishes. Again, it's referred to as this lila, this play. This apparent individual and this recognition that that apparent individual is only an appearance, and in fact our true nature is pure consciousness itself. And this is very astounding. What I say always, this divine place seems to be a horrendous suffering for most. I'm encouraging that in seeing this incredible paradox, if you will, that there's an incredible opportunity in this life to enjoy this lifetime. And the greatest enjoyment of this lifetime, as it turns out, seems to be when it's in behalf of these apparent others, when it's a life of service, when it's in behalf of this planet and that which populates this planet. And there doesn't have to be this time spent on this preoccupation with this apparent individual and all of its sufferings. There then is this great opportunity, where that's no longer entertained, to really come forth with great heart, giving, serving. And that's the stuff of a beautiful life, you see. So your friends are saying, give of yourself in a different way. Serve your friends in a different way by being generous and sharing your vulnerable spirit, your vulnerable human beingness. Fantastic. Good friends make such requests.
Hi, Hanuman. Kamala here. I just want to take this moment to thank you for your never-ending compassion and your never-ending grace and your never-ending ruthlessness. Thank you.
Thanks, Hanuman.
And also, there's something appearing on my plate in this moment and in my life. And I just wanted to ask you what to do when this ugly thing called jealousy rears its head. What pointer to use to point me back to the truth of who I am.
You know, jealousy is such a, what's the word, abrasive, such a shocking display to this body that one's natural vigilance tends to be very heightened in the face of this display of jealousy. I think first is don't take it personally. It's displaying before you. There's sensations accompanying it. There's a story accompanying it. There is this profound sense of unworthiness that accompanies it. So immediately see that in total, the absolute fictional nature of the one who's taking all of that so personally. It's just a shocking display.
It seems even more shocking than some of the others, you know,
Yeah,
because it brings
jealousy.
up so much else.
It's a big
you know.
package that comes with it.
Big package. Yeah.
So the big demand that accompanies the big package is really this really big demand for letting go. You investigate the nature of jealousy, and it seems fundamentally rooted in this sense of attachment to somebody and some outcomes, something, somebody, and outcomes. And the demand in the face of this vast display of jealousy is to detach. Letting go is another word for detaching. What is being detached? It's detaching from the story. It's taking a few steps back from the story that's been like this, and you're taking 2 steps back, and you're seeing now from this point of view of witnessing that this is over here, these thoughts, these feelings, these emotions, these ideas. And here you are now, as you always are. You're free of everything that's displaying before you. You're simply the very seeing. Not so easy in those moments where the tendency is the feeling of clutching and grasping, demanding, I want it this way, and I want it this way so badly, please. Well, I tell you, it's an incredible opportunity to meet this very big package of jealousy with an even greater sword of compassion.
I couldn't even think of the truth of my nature to point me back to that, like I don't want to say the opposite, but that works, you know, whatever the opposite of jealousy is. What I came up with was not two, you know, like, I mean, how can you compare, you know, oneness itself, you know, consciousness itself?
So feel the feelings of jealousy very deeply, very profoundly. And in that, see, enough is enough. This is a bottomless pit. I don't want to stay in this pit forever. I'm seeing clearly what is this phenomena called jealousy. I'm seeing the thoughts that comprise it. I'm seeing the feelings that comprise it. I'm seeing the sensations of the body that comprise it. I'm seeing what the demand is. And I surrender to the demand of the moment. And this letting go must be accompanied with a great, great sense of compassion for your own self.
Okay. Thank you.
Now there's a habit in jealousy, this obsessive quality. This obsessive quality.
An obsessive quality.
Obsessive, this tendency to have the display held in place quite rigidly and give the attention to the display. Once you are sufficiently, how do I say this, leaned back into the true being of your own self, what then the natural state is for the display to quite naturally move, no longer being clutched to, no longer being pushed away, left in a natural way. In the natural state, things will just come and go. So you allow the coming and going without taking anything personally, even the tendency to personalize.
Thank you, Hanuman.
And then my very final thing I want to say is really, ultimately, when it really gets to be dark night of the soul time, as it does from time to time, you be ruthlessly, uncompromisingly, unconditionally loving of your own self. No matter what the sensation is, no matter what the thought is, no matter what. Unconditional means regardless of circumstance, regardless of conditions. You just love your own self, regardless of who you may be taking that self to be. You love that one fully, completely. Yes, sir.
Charles, I bring a message from Margot. She's sitting with someone who's passing, and she sends her regards and her love.
From
Margot,
Margot.
the short woman I frequently sit with, who's a friend of mine. You know her. You're just not recalling at the moment.
Oh, Margot. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, please send her my love.
I shall.
Yes, great. Thank you for conveying that to me. Okay, Margot, yes. I mean, the really great thing about jealousy is it's such a great teacher of humility. If you really get the great lesson of humility out of jealousy, then you see the real great grace of jealousy. You say, really, thank you for displaying before me. Thank you for this great, ruthless, and uncompromising grace. But maybe that's more readily seen in retrospect. Yeah, it is.
I had a question a minute ago, and it's not a question anymore. Because I have something to report. Where I frequently get stuck is letting go in the moment. And I guess a question that I had was, how do I let go? I don't get that part. I did not get that part. And then what came up is just trust. And as I sat here at the microphone waiting to ask my question, my heart went wild. And I just slowed down and I trusted. And I let go. So, my question's just been answered.
What's your name?
Allison.
Okay. First, I think this man who's standing up in the back. Yeah, but now I can't see you.
Okay, I will stand
Okay.
here. My name is Bruce.
Bruce?
Yes. 24 years ago, I left the University of Utah and headed to Malibu to be with a being named Michael Malachek. And he received his realization from Ramana Maharshi. And I was there for 12 months. At about the 9th or 10th month, there was an implosion in my awareness. There's a whole story connected to this, but there's not time or place for that. Essentially, I was told later that a series of entities or unprincipled beings, whatever, had breached the etheric around my body. I had torn that. And they came in and or my partners for 24 years till right now, in the sense that I have learned to survive but not live. So my question deals simply with this, that when the drama gets so severe or so hellish, if you might underline that word, or you feel your sanity is not stable, the question is the imagination and witnessing. And when you attempt to witness something that can be so disturbing to you, maybe a comment on that stepping back, a comment on that letting go so that you can live and experience life without imposing imagination or fear or reactivity. And I know this is the essence of your teaching, is to settle back into the self and allow that part of our being to express without imposing imagination. So my question is simply a comment from you from this quick sketch of a story of letting go of this suffering. And what just clicked in my mind is another deeper part of it that you might comment and attach some of your wisdom and light to. Is at that time my great philosophical question was, good and evil. How can God allow this kind of destructiveness? I know that we have free will, but how could a good and loving God sit back and witness all of it and not do something about it? That's the question.
Okay. Bruce, do you want to sit up a little closer? So you're so far away. You're more comfortable back there?
Where I am, I close my eyes and I can hear it.
Okay. Okay. In some ways, Bruce, you're describing a kind of intensification of a level of despair that accompanies most everybody almost all the time. And in this intensification, there is an intensification of urgency for some kind of relief. We all know, again, it's talking about this dark time of the soul, this time when one cries out for mercy, for some peace, and there doesn't seem to be any mercy and peace forthcoming. Isn't this what the dark night of the soul time is? And really, what becomes so challenging and so demanding is to you to answer that call your own self. And what I mean is that there are times when we are called upon to be living examples of ruthless, I use the word a lot, and uncompromising, I use the word a lot, examples of a human being who's willing to unconditionally love no matter what. To be an example of compassion in the midst of the greatest horror. This warrior-like stance in life, especially in those times that I'm referring to as the dark night times, leave one ultimately with a very huge heart and very, very strong. So while you may think that life for you has been about survival, I would say with some certainty we've only met, that your life has been an unfoldment leading to your own recognition of a very, very great strength and a very huge heart. Such a huge heart that you could cry over this rampage and ravage that wreaks this Mother Earth. So I could only tell you now that let your life, which feels like one of just survival, be one of just service. And you be the living example of the warrior who's serving this Mother Earth in whatever way that takes. And you let whatever feeling arises, arise. Not to be obstructive. Feel whatever feeling is to be felt, and you move forth in that unyielding commitment to serve. And you look back on life then, in years to come, and you say, my God, how blessed I have been to serve this Mother Earth. So recognize your own power, your own heart. And don't wait for the call to be answered. And in your very answering, you will bring immense light, radiant light to the darkness from whence your cry comes forth. Can you hear what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean it. So I will say that you've been very blessed indeed. You've been blessed with an opportunity in this life to be very, very strong, very, very heartful, and ruthlessly compassionate to your own self and to this earth. So carry forth from this. If you have disturbing companions that you've spoken that have broken through, you bring them forth to me now. Give them to me. And I mean that. So you right here, right now, you send them all to me. Okay? Thank you.
And it's Devananda.
Hi, Devananda.
I wish there were a better word, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Devananda. Thank you.
Hanuman, my name is Chris, and I haven't been here before. My question is, what is your concept of pure consciousness?
I don't have one. Was there something else?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you for satsang.